Hello there and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are, whatever you are doing. Today we'll be making a really beautiful block called the Sun Rays Quilt block. Now this is very simplified, perfect for beginners, and gives you that boost so that you know that you can make star blocks really easily. I will show you a very simple pattern using squares just to get those star legs. I know you're going to love it. So come follow me and let's get started. But before we do that, I've got some exciting news to tell you. That this video is sponsored by Crafty. I can't wait to tell you about this community. I love it so much. I really do. They hold a special place in my heart, and I'll tell you why later. Let's get started. All right, so I have some strips here. I am going to be working with the concept of light and dark. My strips here comes in twos, and I have this fat quarter bundle. It's a flutter fat quarter bundle, and I love using them because they have this really lovely background prints within them. Okay, so they're a different collection, obviously, but I am going to choose some of these fat quarters to use with these strips here. So I'm going to probably use the blue. I love that. I love that color. It's nice and strong. I can see it works here with these. I may also go with this one as well. It may possibly clash, but I think it will stand out. And I may go for something really strong and daring. Either the green, I think, or I may go with the brown. All right. May possibly choose. I still have a light green, a pink, orange, and brown, but I think I will stay with these lovely strong colors. They're lovely and dark. A lot of them may be light. Where I feel that I may possibly have to use dark strips, that I may revert back to some of these light ones, especially ones like this, or even the orange. All right, but we will see how we get on. So I'm going to show you how to make the block. So let's get started. All right, so I've pre-selected some of the strips that I think will work together. So I'm working with this fat quarter. I reckon these will go nicely together. And I'm still not sure about this, but I'm thinking these will go really nicely. I'm looking at this one as my darks, and I know it's light. And that is my light also, but I'm not sure. I am not sure, but I think the colors do work together very nicely. So if I put that side by side, I think it does work. These ones also work, but I'm looking at the camera, I can see that it's light and light. But in my eyes, front wise, direct, it looks fine. But I am still unsure. I may work with this particular one here. And it's always a good idea to definitely take a picture, so that way you're well informed as to what's dark and what's light. Okay, and yeah, that will definitely keep you on the right track. Let's try this one here. Yes, and it does come off as dark, and I'm looking at the camera here to help me evaluate the fabric that I want to go with. My only concern is that I am kind of playing with purple, and the prints are quite similar. Okay, so don't be afraid to pull from another fabric line to make your whole quilt. You can always use the rest of the fat quarters or the strips in another project. Okay. Nevertheless, I'm going to put these aside for the moment, and I'm going to demonstrate making the block with this particular one here. So what I'm going to do first is to sew these strips together. Then I'm going to come back and do some cuts in front of you. So I'm going to start with this first, front sides together, and then I'm going to sew the whole strip to show you how to make the block. All right, so once you've made your strips, what I would like you to do is to simply line it up and cut it into the required sizes. I'm just going to do two for the moment, just to demonstrate the block. Make sure you have your iron set up with you as well, so that everything can go nice and smooth. I am going to then simply sew these together like so to make a full patch. All right. All right, so our next step is to simply fold these front sides together, make sure they line up, and just simply sew across there. So you should have 4 of these in total, making sure that you line it up correctly and the colors are opposite each other. All right, so I've made my 4 patches. Now let's get some ironing on this. It's important that we ensure that the fat quarter is crease free, and that is to make sure that we can get some accurate cuts. So I'm just giving it a quick little steam, and I'm going to open flat because I want to take away that crease line I just made. Put this back now. Right, now remember, when you're cutting, make sure you always cut opposite the selvage so that we're cutting on the correct grain. And I'm going to just straighten off my edges here. If you have your longer ruler, that will be ideal, but as long as you can see beyond the width of the fabric. Always start with a fresh cut. This ensures that all of your cuts is straight moving forward. Very, very important, because I remember I used to be very stingy with the fabric and try to keep everything in, and then I still had to go back and trim the edges up. So it's best just to start with a straight cut. You'll save yourself some time. All right. Let me just line up and do 1 strip. Done. I'm going to put that to the side for now. I'm going to continue with this one. You could cut it flat if you want, but I'm just going to do just 1 block for now. Okay. And I'm also going to do this as well. Again, cutting opposite the selvage. I am going to fold this one. I have already cut from this fabric, and I know the edges are absolutely straight. However, if you feel that you need to trim it again, by all means, because sometimes having to line up the fabric doesn't mean that it's going to sit nicely and it's going to be folded, equated right to the end here. So it's best just to double check. If you cannot line it up, I think this one it seems fine. If you cannot line it up, just start again with a fresh cut. That looks fine. And cut. And this one, I'm going to leave it fold because I do need a few more cuts with this particular one. Okay, that's done. All right, so I'm just going to get all this together. Let me open this up. Make sure you give this a good old press. You can choose to open up the seams at the back and press it level and flat, or you could leave it. Nevertheless, as long as it is flat, you are good to go. I'm just going to start by putting it down first and then go over it. Keep the iron to a medium heat, not too high. We don't want to scorch the fabric. It's not that important to get it super flat at this stage. We're just simply just giving the blocks a little bit of a flat so that we can align them properly when we lay them out. All right, let's move on to the next stage. All right, guys, so Craftsy is an online community with loads of resources in the areas of knitting, crocheting, quilting, sewing, painting, cooking, baking. Now, I can go on and list so many of the courses that they have on their community platform. But I will tell you this on a serious note, and you wouldn't know this about me. I used Craftsy many times in the past. In fact, it was one of the areas where I learned a lot to quilt. I learned a lot about making pizzas, and my favorite instructor on there is Peter Reinhardt. Not even a quilting instructor, a pizza instructor. He's a baker. And I'm telling you this dude knows his stuff. He makes the best pizza. The best, I'm telling you, the best pizza. And he shows you how to make the best pizza using your oven. He even teaches you how to make beautiful homemade bread. I even learned about cake decorating there that just took my skill level up a notch, definitely. So if you want to challenge yourself and learn something really creative, definitely check out Craftsy. There's lots and lots of courses on there. If you don't feel like you need to upscale in terms of using quilting, as I said, you can go into any other areas. There are so many courses on there. The instructions are really easy to work with. They give you step-by-step instructions. They break it down for you. You can even go back, rewind, stop, play it again if you don't understand something. And the best part is all the literature you can download and it's yours. That's the great thing. It's yours for being part of the community of Craftsy. Now, Craftsy has given me, listen to me, before I tell you this, I need you to take this seriously. I want you to pause the video. I'm giving you permission to pause me. Go to Craftsy because they've given me 1,000 coupons for you to literally sign up to their community. And I'm going to tell you how much that actually cost. You're going to be surprised because you get a full year membership for 1,000 people. Now, listen to me. I do not know if Craftsy will do this again for me. This could be just a one-done deal. So pause the video and go sign up. It's only going to cost you $1.49. You're going to have $1.49 for a full year, over and over and over again, meeting and working with your instructors. I'm telling you, I love Craftsy. Seriously, it's a platform I go back to time and time again. I feel like I am watching my friends when I'm learning on their... I love Peter Reinhardt. Did I say that before? He is such a brilliant teacher. So if you want to scale up yourself, learn something new, learn something challenging, definitely check out the link in the description box down below. You will not be disappointed. The classes, the projects, everything changes daily. You have regular classes on there. You have new classes with new challenges. So as I said, please, I am begging you and I am telling you now, stop me, pause me and run and sign up, then come back. I've given you permission. All right. So I pray that when you join up, tell me down below, say, Karen, thank you so much for hooking me up because I would not have known about this had you not told me. And for $1.49 for a year, you got it going on. So let's get back to the video and let's thank Craftsy for giving us this beautiful offer. If I didn't have it, I would have signed up to it. So I'm telling you right now, run, do it now. All right, let's get back to the tutorial. All right, so from the same fat quarter, you're going to be needing a strip, a couple of strips of fabric, and again, you need to line up and get the cut that you desire. What we're also going to do is to use these smaller squares here, these background squares, in order to create our star legs. And normally you would need a special ruler for this particular part here, but you know me, I don't like spending extra money on a ruler. I like to make sure that the rulers I have, i.e. my basic quilting rulers, can do the job for me. If not, I'm just going to show you this way here. Now what you need to do is find the center point of your background fabric and give it a bit of a crease just so that you know where it is. And then open it back up. You're going to take a heat erasable pen, and I'm using that because I like to. And it's closed hand, but even if you use an ordinary pen, it doesn't really matter because we're not going to see it. And I'm going to find the point of the middle just as a marker and a guider so that I can remember it and I can see it. All right, because if I were to at least move this around, sometimes the crease disappears. So I'm just giving it a marker. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line up that same point I just created with the end of the square there. And I'm going to draw a line as prominent as possible so that you can see it. The strangest thing is I'm actually using red, which I don't really need red because the fabric has a slight bit of red on it. All right, I'm going to do the other side. Just making sure I go right from the tip, and you should join quite easily. So I'm going to bring that close so you can actually see that. Okay. Now, I have already started the process here. Let me cover my pen back because it will dry out. Okay, so what I have done now is once I have drawn this line now becomes your guider line, okay? So you're going to use your fabric, your strip of fabric, and you're going to line up. Notice I am actually chain piecing. Don't put it directly close because we need to flip the blue fabric over once we're done to trim it up. So give yourself a little bit of a leeway. Okay, so I'm going to line it up at an angle because obviously my line is at an angle. Okay, and I'm going to go right on that line, literally on that line. Okay, now you can pin if you want, but in all honesty, you don't really need to. Once you line it up, you will adjust your 1/4 inch feet to the edge here, so you get your 1/4 inch on top of the blue fabric. All right, so your 1/4 inch lines up there and you sew all the way down. So for example, you can see what it looks like there. So you can see the line is literally that gray line of thread. So I line up the edge of my 1/4 feet there, and my needle went through a 1/4 inch on the actual fabric. Okay, so I'm going to go do that with the rest. Once you have your strips sewn on one side, what you need to do, so it's very likely it's going to come off of your sewing machine like so. That is the way it's going to face you. But you need to fold it back and just finger press, just so that it's lovely and flat. And the seam is really creased down there. It's nice and flat. It's not bubbling over. Okay, now what I want you to do is don't cut it at an angle. So for example, don't cut it like so. You just need to cut it straight off as you would normally. If you want, you can use one of your lines here to line up and just cut it off with the end of your block here, and just cut it off like so. All right, the reason I'm saying that because I don't want you to misjudge and cut the fabric incorrectly. Right, so once you've done that, then obviously we need to get rid of the one at the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is fold it back, wrong side looking at me, and all I'm going to do is to cut the fabric away, and on this side also just line it up and cut. You're going to do that for all of them, so you're cutting on the wrong side. Make sure you can see it looking at you. Line it up and cut. Okay, last one. And then we're going to go back and do the same thing. So you'll get your strip of fabric yet again, and all you simply need to do is to do the same thing and line up on this side. So you're going to fold this fabric back. You're going to take your blue strip and line it up just like you've done before. So you're going to line it up just like so, stitch along there and cut the same way. All right, so let's move on to that stage now. All right, so I'm just going to iron up the last bit of my components here to make the block, and I'm just doing them 2 at a time, 3 at a time, just so that it goes by really quickly and easy. Now, I haven't trimmed off this extra bit. You can if you want to, but to be honest, I may just leave it. All right. Nevertheless, let me show you now how to make the block up. All right, so moving on. So I'm going to put my blocks like so. So you can use any corner that you want. When I say corner, I'm referring to the stars here that you want to align your block with. So I'm going to start by putting my solid block down. I'm just going to line it up there. And you would sew this together exactly the way you would as a 9-patch. This block comes together in a 9-patch form. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult at all. And all I'm going to do now is take these and fit them in there, like so, and like so. This is a very easy, quick block, and it's very much a standout. Now, isn't that beautiful? And I do feel that the colors play along really nicely. There's a strong color here of the blue in the middle, and I think these subtle tones here in the background really allows it to highlight the block, as well using that sort of background print, again allowing the block to shine through really properly. So what I'm going to do now is to chain piece yet again. I love to chain piece because then everything goes by quickly. So like so, using a 1/4 inch seam, Once you've done that, then you do the other side, and again keep the chain connected so then you can flip it over. So once all the chains are connected, then all you need to do really is then sew it. So I'm going to finish the block and I'll present it to you again. All right, so the block is now sewn together, but I wanted to point something out. Before you actually sew it together on the lengthways side, make sure you pin where the intersections form so that you can make sure that all seams actually meet. Let's open it up and see how I did. Let's give it a good old press. And I'm starting at the back first just to make sure I can get those seams down. Let's do the other side. Just make sure you open up that seam there so that everything lays lovely and flat. We're going to square the block up and just make sure everything lays nicely. That looks really beautiful. So once you finish with your block, you need to just check that the block is squared up properly and line it up. Just make sure that everything is working together for the good. Right, all I'm doing is just checking the edges to make sure that it all lined up nicely. That looks good. Let's do this side. Just do all 4 sides. And what I'm doing, I'm using the shortest level here to the edge of the block and just basically straightening it all up. All right, so this is our first star block. Looks beautiful.